What's up guys, Damian Keyes here, welcome back to the channel. So you've put out your single, you might have put out your second, your third or even your fourth single. But is this starting to feel a little bit like Groundhog Day? Done some promotion, put out a single, a little bit more promotion, then what next? Do I have to just rinse and repeat and just carry on going through the motions again and again, time after time? And if so, why isn't that building the momentum? Well, it might be that you just haven't set yourself up to succeed. Most acts and artists are very, very good at what they are doing, but that isn't enough for their audience because we need to know the story. You see, when you are the artist, you are this close to everything. You are living the story. But from your audience point of view, they are not living your story. They are just getting the information that you're putting out there. And every story has 5 essential elements, which are the characters, the setting, the plot, the conflict, and the resolution. So the first part, the characters, most artists are very good at this part. That is the cast, the casting role, whether you are an artist or in a band. Who does what? Which could be selfies, it could be live band pictures, it could be little bits of things that happen throughout the day which show off who is where and who does what. Then you have the setting. And again, most artists and bands are very good at that. The setting the scene. We are this sort of band. We play this sort of genre. We are from this area. That is getting everyone up to speed with the instance of who you are as a musical outfit. But then you get the plot, and this is part of what we're missing, because the plot is not only who you are, but why. Why are you doing this? What is the purpose? Where are we going? Where are you taking me on this story? You haven't just set the scene. You've said, I've set the scene, now let me tell you what we've got to achieve. Let me tell you where we are going so that you can come with me on the story. So at this point, what is it that you want to happen? If you say, we want to headline a main festival, I say, okay, great. I know what we're trying to work towards. I get it. I can see where we're going. Now tell me how we're going to do this and how I can be a part of that story to watch, to see. And then we get the conflict, the will it happen, the tension before the release. This could be the, we are trying to do this. Ooh, will they do it? It could even be the villain. The music industry is the villain. We are going to take this on our own because we're the heroes. That is the conflict before the resolution, the big payoff that we're going to do it. It's going to be okay moment. That is pretty much every story in a nutshell. But is that being fed into how you are putting out your music? So a few things to feed into that narrative. Number one, have you signed yourself to your own imaginary record label? Everyone wants to get signed. Everyone wants to sign to a record label. Well, today's the day you can do that, because what you are doing when you sign yourself to your own label is you are saying, I am now planning into the future. I'm not just putting out music willy-nilly. What I'm actually doing is I'm going to put out 10 singles, and with those 10 singles I'm already planning 10, even though I'm only working on number 1, 2 and 3, because they are building. Number 1 is part of what goes into number 10. Number 2 is a build off number 1 which goes into number 10. You are telling the audience, going through that narrative, going through the plot, going through the conflict and going through that resolution. So it's very, very important that you're not thinking about, I've got a single, I'm going to put it out, what next? Well, I'll tell you what's next. This is just one chapter. This is a war and we are in one battle. This is the battle, not the war. Then when it comes to content, what are your pillars? I talk about pillars quite a lot, but your big pillars, the biggest pillar that you can do is new music with a new music video. This is the most exciting time for you and your audience. But you can't do that every day. You might only be able to do that every month or every 6 weeks. No problem. But what you've got to do is you've got to work backwards. If you can only put out music every 6 weeks, that's fine. But you've stopped telling the story once you've stopped promoting your music. So therefore, you have to think about what fits in to the other 5.5 weeks once you've put out that new piece of music. Now, these bigger pillars of excitement come from you doing big things. So if you can write more songs, there's some big pillars of excitement. If you are doing gigs or if you are on tour, you have things to talk about to really push up. If you are on radio, if you are on TV, if you are getting into magazines, you've got things to push up. If you're saying, yeah, I don't really have anything interesting to put out, then you've got to make something interesting. Whether that is vlogs, whether that is new music, whether it's new performances, new videos that go with older songs, that is completely acceptable. But what you can't do is say, yeah, unfortunately, all I can do is one song every 4 to 6 weeks, and then in between that, I'll just take a bunch of selfies. Because what you're doing there is you aren't following the 5 essential elements of our story. You see, when it comes to our plot and therefore the conflict and the resolution, there has to be some kind of tension and release. Think of it like tensing a muscle. I can tense a muscle, but I can only do that for so long. So once it's gone, it's gone. Therefore, whilst you're telling people about the plot and what's going to happen, then you've got the will they, won't they, tension versus release. You do have to get that release. And if you take away that release by just saying bit of tension, yeah, okay, come back in a month's time and we'll see what happened, people are starting to lose the interest. So your job is to keep this story flowing. And then a big one, don't stop promoting your music. So many artists have this huge build-up, they put the music out, they have a day or so of promotion, and then they feel that they've kind of done it. They've done the job and the music has been used and isn't allowed to be used again. All of a sudden it's cast aside and said, oh, it's boring, it's old news, we don't need that anymore. Well, that doesn't need to be the case. Just because you need new music, there's nothing wrong with promoting old music, and there's plenty of ways of doing that. After all, what is stopping you from playing that song that you wrote a year ago? What is stopping you from making a new music video for a song that you put out 6 months ago? What's stopping you from talking about a release or talking about the lyrics from a release that you did a week, 6 months ago, a year ago, or even 5 years ago? Why not start using some of the old content? And say old content, I'm just talking about your music. It's not old versus new. Why don't start using some of your music to be able to fit this into the story narrative that we are now talking about? And with that in mind, first rule, if you are doing advertising to try and push people to your music, then don't stop. Don't get to your release date, say big advertising push for 24 hours or for a week. Why not say, no, I'm going to carry on pushing my music. I'm proud of my music. Therefore, I'm going to put a couple of quid, a couple of dollars into my music to make sure people carry on seeing it. It doesn't just have to be this end goal of, well, I've put it out, I finished, it's dead, oh, it goes, in comes some new music, and that's going to have to wait for another 6 weeks. So a couple of things that you can do today. Number one, does your bio, your about section, and your banners, do they tell the setting or do they tell the plot? Very, very big difference. If they're just saying, hey, I'm this years old, I'm from this city, and I play this music. Okay, well, that's a setting. But what's the plot? Where are we going? Get me involved, make me excited. All of those bits are the setting, but we have to take this further. You have to get me into your story. What's the bit that's going to grip me? Number two, can you plan the next 5 releases, or maybe 10, but at least the next 5? You know that you can put music out every 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, fine. As long as you know that you've got 5 releases over the next 6, 7, 8 months, and you can go to the end, and then you can start to plan backwards with all of your music. That way, you are building momentum. You're saying, here's the first one, then get ready because we're going again. There's the second one, get ready, we're going again. This is all about building blocks to build one step at a time. And number 3, what interesting ways can you tell your audience about the story rather than just the music? What are the other big pillars? You get to decide whether you want it to be video, pictures, whether you want it to be text, whether you want it to be live performances, whether you want it to be, new videos that go with old songs. Tell people the stories. What is the interesting way that you can tell people the story, therefore the plot, the conflict and the resolve, rather than just saying, and here is more of the setting, which is what everyone's very, very good at. So guys, if you've been putting money into your music to get people to Spotify and then you're frustrated with the results and they're not coming back to you, in which case you are not getting people involved enough in your story or your journey. This is the way to do that. Think past the setting, think into the plot. So guys, thank you so much for watching. If you can like, subscribe, more importantly, just come and be a part of this community, because I'm so proud of what we're building. And I know about 65% of you viewers are not subscribing. So mash that subscribe button and just do me proud and come and be a part of this. But otherwise, thanks for watching, stay safe, and I'll see you guys soon.